If you're running a home services business, you've probably got a bunch of questions and a bunch of problems and a bunch of frustration. You're probably dealing with one of these things. Some of your ads aren't working. Your leads ghost you. You think it's price, but you don't really know why they don't buy. You have no idea which of your marketing tactics are working or which ones work the best, which ones are a complete waste of money. You might be feeling really stuck. You feel like you're doing everything. You're frustrated. You might even be questioning why you're doing this. I've been in the home services industry for 25 years. I've owned and built from scratch, from zero, multiple companies all the way through selling to private equity. I currently own an outdoor services company in Dallas. We serve 12,000 clients. I'm answering 11 of your questions from the comments. None of this is theory. This is what actually works when you build big companies and you live in the real world. So I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to read the question. I'm going to sort of paraphrase it and I'm going to answer it and I'm going to try to go quick. Number one, my business feels like a trap. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I hardly make any money. Does it actually get better or did I make a mistake? When I hear making a mistake, I generally don't think you mean a mistake going into business. I think you probably mean a mistake going into this business or this industry. So let's start at the top. 100%, it's worth it. 100%, it gets way better. But it's all contingent on doing the right things, making the right decisions. So what I've found, having been in business for a long time, owning a coaching business, knowing thousands of entrepreneurs, I've gone deep in home services. And I know a lot of the different trades and people in the different trades. There are trades that are better than others, that are a little bit easier than others. But on the whole, there is not a trade that is bad that you shouldn't be in. The problem isn't the trade. The problem isn't the industry. The problem is the stage you're at in the business right now. So examples might be you're somewhere between $0 and $350,000 in revenue. You're somewhere between $350,000 and $1 million. You're somewhere between $1 million and $5 and $10. Those are stages. And every stage has different pain, frustration, challenge, stress, hard decisions, things you've got to figure out. And there's no getting around it. Everyone who has ever been in these businesses have gone through the same thing. Some people get through the stages faster than others. That's really the difference. The speed at which you get through the stage, because the faster you get through a stage, the faster that pain is behind you. The longer you stay in that stage, the more pain and frustration you feel. The more you question yourself. The more you question if this is the right decision. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to understanding what stage am I in. So if you're in the stage of 0 to 350 or 0 to 500,000, somewhere in that range, then I can tell you these are the problems that you're going to experience. This is how it's going to feel. This is the frustration that you're going to experience. And here's how you get out of it. Here's what you don't do, and here's what you do. That's not the point of this video, but I will tell you, if you want that kind of information, ask those questions in the comments. I'm happy to answer. I think it's really important to understand this. So your problem is the stage. It's not the industry. You need to know what stage you're in. You need to then understand, based on this stage, what do I have to do? What do I work on? What do I ignore? What do I do? What are the big decisions I have to make? How do I get past this as fast as possible? And how do I make decisions right now that'll set me up so that when I get to the next stage, so example, you're going from a $350,000 company passing $500,000, now you're in the next stage. How do I set myself up so that when I get to this stage of, call it, $500,000 to $1 million, I can get through it as quick as possible with the least amount of pain. That's what it's about. But to answer the direct question, I can't fathom why the industry, whichever trade you're in, is bad. I can tell you it gets better. Almost all the trades are good. Now here's something that you might do. You might eventually become a more sophisticated owner, understand your market better, understand your business better, understand where there are even better opportunities, and you might slowly redirect your business somewhere else. So an example might be you might start out mowing lawns and you might slowly redirect it towards fertilization, weed control, and pest control or something like that. You might start out power washing and you might slowly redirect the business to window cleaning and gutter cleaning and other services. That's not unusual. You might start out in a really small town, figure it out, and then slowly direct your business to the better town nearby or several better towns nearby. And some of those things solve problems. Some of those things get you through stages faster. Generally not the first stage. So anyway, that's how you want to think about this. It's a stage problem. If you figure out how to get past it, your business will feel better, you'll be happier, and you'll stick around. You'll stick around in this business, and that's the most important thing. The next question, why aren't my Facebook ads working? Well, I don't know, but I can give you some ideas. I can give you some hints. So I'll be really frank here. I do not run Facebook ads inside of our home services business yet. We will, but I haven't been running them. But I have experience with them in a different business, serving home services, but on the software side. Okay? So let me kind of tell you how you want to think about Facebook ads. Number one, you don't want to think in terms of cities and your entire geographic area that you serve or zip codes. I would prefer to think about buyer profiles or buyer personas. So that is, another word for it would be the avatar. Who am I targeting? Am I targeting Miss Smith, who's 52 years old, has 2 kids at home and an average family income of $90,000 and lives in a home worth $350,000? And she lives on a 1/4 acre lot in a 2-story home. You kind of get the idea. You can kind of imagine her. Or am I serving Mr. Jones? He's 68. He lives in a retirement community. And these are his concerns. Or am I serving a neighborhood or an area that has a lot of professionals, doctors, entrepreneurs, people of that sort? High income, high net worth, big homes, big properties. You got to understand who you're going after. On Facebook, you'll have multiple different ads targeting multiple different types of personas. That's number one. Narrow the focus, narrow the target. Number two, Facebook is about interruption. I love to think about it this way. I'm Miss Smith. I'm sitting on my phone in the morning at my island in my kitchen. Got a cup of coffee right here. I'm on my cell phone and I'm scrolling Facebook and Instagram. I'm waking up. I'm about to have to get the kids to school. And I am not interested in making any decisions yet. I'm just starting my day. I have no interest in what you're talking about. I don't care about solving my lawn care problem or my house cleaning problem or frankly even my HVAC problem. That's after I get the kids home. And then I'll make those calls, but I don't want to do it now. So these types of ads you're running are interruption ads. They're interrupting the person. They didn't come looking for you. Whereas you imagine YouTube, you've got a problem. I need to replace the alternator in my truck. It's a 2022 F-150. How do I do it? You go find the video, you watch the video. That's not an interruption ad. You went looking for it. Get the idea? That's an intent ad. Okay, so let me go a little deeper. On Facebook and Instagram, it's all about interruption. They don't care about you. They're not looking for you. So you kind of think about these types of ads as awareness. If you've ever heard of the concept of a marketing funnel, so kind of imagine a funnel. Leads come in the top of that funnel, and some are good, some are bad, some are outside your service area. You don't sell one-times. Some of them are one-time clients. You sell house cleaning or lawn mowing. They're actually looking for window cleaning or fertilization, weed control. You don't do those things, but all those leads come into your funnel, and you've got to sort of sort them and sift them. Yeah, we don't do one-times. Nope, we don't do fertilization, weed control. Nope, we don't serve your area. You get the idea. And as they work their way down the funnel, at the bottom of the funnel, the narrow part, those are the people that are the most serious about you and about buying. So at the top of the funnel, it's called awareness. You're just making people aware of your company. And at the bottom of the funnel, there's high intent. They are ready to buy the thing that you sell. There's other ways to explain it, but that's the gist of it. Facebook is top of funnel, it's awareness. Local service ads are bottom of funnel. Lawn mowing near me, house cleaning near me. They are looking for someone like you. That's bottom of the funnel, that's intent. So you need to understand who you're talking to, okay? So you got to narrow your target. I'm talking to Miss Smith. She looks like this. She's my persona I'm selling to. I'm selling on Facebook. Facebook, top of funnel stuff. Probably not of a lot of intent. So I need to craft my marketing for awareness, top of funnel, interruption. Okay? It doesn't mean offers aren't critical. Offers still matter because offers matter in everything. Offers are how we get people to take action. Okay? So I did use the word awareness, and I used the word interruption, but it doesn't mean we don't make an offer. They still matter on Facebook. The other thing about Facebook you need to know is you can test one thing at a time. So you can try lots of things quickly. So you can create an ad and you have an offer. You can have multiple ads with two different offers. This one isn't working, throw it away, create a new one. This one's winning. You'll call that in marketing, they'll call that the control. The one that's winning is the control. You're constantly testing something against it. Instead of changing everything, you're changing one thing. So you got two ads with two different offers. You got two ads with two different headlines, but everything else is the same. You change one thing at a time. You keep the winner. You throw out the loser. You make another change to test an offer, test a headline, test the bullet points, test the picture, test the music, test whatever. And you just iterate all the time. Never ends. That's the next thing to know. And then the final thing I'll mention is Meta has this thing called, I think it's called the ads library. You'll have to double check me on that, but look up ads library. And it shows you the ads that other companies have been running. And if you look at the ads that reputable companies have been running for a long period of time, gives you some clues on what might be working. Now I will tell you, a lot of people don't pay attention to their ad spend. They don't actually know what's working. Sometimes you'll look at big companies that are funded by, they have a lot of money, they're funded by private equity, they're willing to spend way more money to acquire a client than you are. There's still variables here, but on the whole, if you look at an ad and it's from a reputable company, it's been running a long time, that might mean it works. And it might give you some ideas of things to try, test. All right, next. How do I get more 5-star Google reviews without feeling awkward? Well, a couple things. Number one, you want to think about when you ask for the review. So first and foremost, you want to ask when they're at peak happiness. So there's several times people are at peak happiness when they're buying from you because that's like the honeymoon phase. You haven't actually done anything for them yet. You haven't even given them a reason, hopefully, to be disappointed. So they still feel really optimistic about what this experience is going to look like, how they're going to feel about you. So right at the beginning of the relationship, one of the single best times to get a review, okay? Or after you deliver a solution. My HVAC system was broken. It was really hot. We were miserable. You got out here in a day or the day of. You fixed it. We're not miserable. We're very happy. Right then, I want a review, okay? So you think about when. The when is really important. And then how is the next really, really critical thing. Like if I say, hey, Miss Smith, could you go out to Google and just type in our company name, and then if you'll just give me a review. No, way too hard. You need to just be able to text them a link, click it, all they have to do is type the message, hit submit. It's got to be super easy. If you want a Google review, you send them the Google link. If you want a Yelp review, you send them the Yelp link. It's that kind of a thing. So easy, timed with the moment they're the most happy. Now, if it's a high-ticket item or an in-person job, an in-person ask is the best. If it's a recurring job and you don't necessarily see them in person, then an after the job, in my opinion, ask of, are you happy? Or the wording isn't coming to me, this is not the way I say it, but are you really happy or are you disappointed? Basically, you're just proposing how they feel. If they click happy, then you send them to get a review. If they're not happy, you ask for feedback. It's gating. So basically, you're gating them. I see all the time, I'll get people are asking me for reviews, and they'll just ask me for a review via email. They don't have the faintest idea if I'm happy. And so if I'm not happy, they should know I'm not happy before I give the review so they have a chance to fix it. So think about the presentation. All right? The next one. Next couple are specific questions about stages in business. I'm at 400, imagine you're at 400,000 to 1 million, you're still on the equipment, you have an endless task list, you never have enough time or money to step back from the business. Is this just about biding my time? What should I actually be doing? Okay, so this was paraphrased from the original question. The key point is it just about biding my time to get through this stage? Remember stages from the beginning? This is an example, 400,000 a million, we'll call that a stage. Do I just bide my time and kind of suck up the pain and get through this stage? And my answer would be, it's not about biding your time. It's not about just surviving it. Like yes, you're going to have to go through lots of not fun stuff. You're going to have to figure out lots of hard stuff, but that's true in every stage. So it's about figuring that out and doing those things as fast as you can. When I hear biding my time, one of the things that comes to mind is like, should I just keep hustling? Like it's such a popular concept to just hustle, which is a good concept. Head down, work really hard. Like that's what's needed. But the concept of hustling can also mask a real problem inside a business. So as an example, you might be stuck doing the work. You're on the mower, you're in the house cleaning, you're in the attic fixing an HVAC system, and you're stuck there. And it just feels like I'm hustling. I'm doing all the work. I'm working really hard. This is what the business needs. But what it does is it masks the real problem, and the real problem is you haven't hired somebody else to do that work. If that's the business you want to build. Like obviously, some people want to build a business where they get to keep doing the work. That's fine. You need to know what business you're building. But if you're saying, I want to build a business that's going to be $1 million plus business, you can't be doing the work. And so this hustle concept can mask the real problem that we haven't done what we have to do to get off the truck, to have somebody else go do the work for us. Okay. So you gotta, this is why I don't like the word biding time. I think it's essentially saying, whatever I'm doing now, I just need to keep doing it for longer. Well, only if you're doing the right stuff. And the right stuff is, think about it this way, your number one job is to get off the truck, to get off the equipment, to not be doing the work. Period. If you're in the 400 to $1 million range and you're trying to get out of that stage, which means past $1 million, you cannot do the work. Period. There's like no exception. If you say, well, I just want to keep the business to 750,000 or 800,000 and we do install work and I want to be on some of the crews, that's fine. That you can do. But if we're saying we want to get out of the stage past $1 million, you can do almost no work, in my opinion. Okay? So that means you have to prioritize hardcore. Like you have to be hardcore about prioritizing. You'd only do the things that make the most money. Okay. So let's just say you're at 500,000 right now. You can't quite get out of the field completely, but you could get out of the field for the most part. And so the only field work you do is to sort of jump in and help a team because you're coaching the team. You're building those people so they can do it without you. You're like, well, I don't have a great driver that I can trust. I got a guy I think can drive. Okay, why are you sitting in the driver's seat and not in the passenger seat? If you're working in the field, you should leverage that moment and it should be about coaching and training. You're coaching and training whomever you're working with so you don't have to keep being in the field. Or maybe your business provides a variety of services and a few of the services require a very high level of expertise. All right, so let's just say you're doing lighting. You do lighting at a home and you are the only person at this moment in the company that can do gas lighting. But everybody else can do electrical lighting. So if they've got lighting right out there outside their front door and it's gas, it's piped through natural gas, you've got to do that. Okay, that's fine. You can do that thing. But when it's electrical or something else, your other people do it. Or you do it with them, but they do the work while you stand there and help and coach. And then you teach them and you stop doing it. So that's why I said you've got to prioritize hardcore. What makes the most money? What is the thing you have to do only temporarily? Think about my gas lighting example. And then everything else you're doing needs to eventually free up your time. Back to my example, when I'm working in the field, I'm always working with another person and I'm coaching them. When I'm working in the field, I'm always sitting in the passenger seat. I'm building that driver and that person who's going to lead and make decisions. I'm not making them. Those are activities that free up time in the long term. The other thing that you have to do is you've got to know your numbers because it leads to my next point. The way you get out of stages faster is to build cash. Keep your living expenses really low be really profitable so that you build money in the bank account so you have the money and the confidence. Confidence is a key word to hire another person to do the work in the field, to hire another driver, to hire someone in the office, to hire someone to become your designer, your salesperson, whatever the role is. If you don't have cash, then you don't ever hire the next person. You never get freed up. You stay in this stage for a really long time. You get burned out. You eventually give up. That's pretty much what happens to most people. So you got to get through the stage as fast as you can. You get through the stage as fast as you can by freeing yourself up in all the ways I just talked about, by being really profitable, so you can build cash, so you have the money to free yourself up. And the way you build cash is you have to understand your numbers really well. You have to understand, how do I price? You have to understand, was this job profitable? Could I have made more money on this job? You have to understand that really well. That's the key. Sometimes I get asked, well, how do I understand my numbers? I've got a good friend in Kansas City. His name's Jason Cupp. He teaches, there's other people that do this as well, but he teaches people how to understand their numbers. Go find a person that teaches people how to understand their numbers. He will literally show you how to understand them, and he will tell you what the numbers should be. Go find somebody like Jason, and you'll spend some money. It won't be a crazy amount of money, but it will shortcut the rest of your business building because it'll get you through these stages faster. Okay, next one. I'm at $250,000, $250,000 in revenue. I've got 2 employees. When do I hire a CSR or ops assistant versus focusing on marketing? When do I hire an ops assistant versus focusing on marketing? So at $250,000, the first thing I would say is there's a good possibility, again, I don't know the details of the business, that if you were to simplify down the service offering, you might not even need a person yet. You might be able to do it. So as an example, I would tell you, you need to get helpers, people in the field doing the work with you. It's usually number one, okay? Then you do oftentimes maybe an office person, and then after that, an operational assistant. That tends to be the order of ops, but it depends on who you are, what you like, what you hate doing, all that kind of stuff, okay? So first and foremost, we need to find people to help us in the field. At $250,000, you've got to have some people. It's probably just a few, but you got some help, okay? So you want to get more of those people so you do less work. If you're doing less work in the field, you might be able to do more of this operational work, the operational assistant work, help supporting the field team, and the CSR work, answering calls, selling, scheduling, billing, things like that, okay? The problem is, even after you get out of maybe at $250,000, you're not completely out of the field. Hopefully you are, that'd be amazing. But if you're not, you're probably doing a lot of CSR work, customer service rep work, okay? So now what you want to do is you want to get that stuff off your plate as quickly as you can as well. And the way you think about this is, if I could hire somebody for $20 an hour to do my billing and answer my calls, answer the sales calls, and immediately get them over to me. So they're doing that kind of stuff. Now I'm doing the higher level stuff. What's higher level stuff? It's selling. Selling is the highest value work in the business. So you want to get all the answering and billing questions and taking a credit card and sending an invoice and answering service questions about when they'll be there. You want to get all that stuff off your plate to somebody else, and you want to focus on sell stuff. And you want to focus on marketing type activities that attract more people to your company. Those are the highest value things you can be doing. You want to be focusing on meeting with the client, inspecting the work, training the team, upselling the client to more work that they need. Those are the things you should be doing. Everything else you should be paying somebody else. So oftentimes when you think about, okay, should I hire a person? Well, maybe you hire a part-time person, okay? And then the other way you think about it is, especially if you don't have enough stuff to give them yet, you shouldn't at $250,000. If you have so much stuff at $250,000, my guess is the business is too complicated. You're doing too many services. It's just too complicated, or it's incredibly unorganized. There's something wrong if you need a full-time person doing all the admin stuff except for selling. You shouldn't need a full-time person for that yet. Something's too complicated. You don't have the right software. You're doing too much. There's something there. So I'd look at that. But as you start to progress past $250,000, this person becomes imperative because you want to just be doing all the things I described a moment ago. But I'll leave you with, at first, maybe you can find a part-time one to save you some money, and then you move to full-time. Next, You sold to one spouse, but the other is making the price decision. How do you handle that? This is coming from a video where I was talking about my $40,000 French Bulldog. And the challenge that I was describing inside that video is I have a conversation with Miss Smith on the phone. We talk about the service. Maybe it's fertilization, weed control, pest control, it doesn't matter. We talk about the service. The call goes positive, it sounds good, but I can't close her on the phone. She's not signing up because she wants to talk to her husband. It's a family decision. Totally understandable. So now you imagine the scenario where she is standing in the living room or sitting in the living room with her husband. They're having a conversation about me and two other companies they talked about. And the husband, who didn't talk to me, is predominantly, he's saying, did you like the company? Did you like this other company? She's like, yeah, I liked all three of them. I kind of lean towards this one. And that's maybe you. And then he says, well, what's the pricing? You're the higher priced company. And he's like, yeah, but did you like this other company? Maybe we'll call that the runner-up company. She's like, yeah, they were nice too. But I kind of, again, lead towards the first one. He's like, yeah, but did you like them that much? Because they're $4 cheaper or more expensive or whatever the number is. And she can't really defend why she likes the first one. She just has a feeling. So who do they go with? They buy the second company that's cheaper because she couldn't make a strong argument for why you are the best. And he's hearing pricing, and he's hearing they're about the same. So can you blame him for making a decision on price? That's the gist of the video. So how do you solve for this when you're only getting to talk to one party and one of the spouse, but they're going to make a family decision? Well, if it's a big transaction, if you've ever bought anything big, you've probably had this experience. If you're buying a car, they're probably asking, hey, is your wife going to be part of this decision? Can you get your wife to be here? It's that kind of a thing. So think about that. That's not dumb. I mean, that happens for a reason. If you can get both parties at the table, if they're both making the decision together, then you have a high probability of closing it, and you get to talk to both parties. That's really critical. So think about that. You're doing the HVAC, you're installing an HVAC system. Maybe one of the questions is something along the lines of, are you making this decision, or are you going to be making this decision as a family? Oh yeah, my wife's going to want to be involved in this. Will you mind grabbing her? Could we get her in here? And I'll just give you both all the information now, and I'll be happy to answer her questions, and we can just take care of this now so that we can get this burning hot house problem solved today. It's that kind of a thing. Obviously, clean up the language around that. So that's one. Okay, but now let's just say you're selling something that's lesser expensive. You're selling on the phone. It's not that kind of a situation. You're not going to really say, oh, hey, can you get your wife on the phone, or can you get your husband on the phone so that we can make this decision about buying pest control? Like, not really. That's not how it's going to happen. So what you have to then do when you're talking to whichever spouse, you have to understand the problem. Like, why did they even call in the first place? What is the problem? What are the problems? When you understand those, then you can kind of, what I call, agitate them. You can kind of poke on them. You can make them feel the concern around that thing, and then you can deliver the solution. If you can agitate that problem and give the solution, you have now given that spouse the talking points. So instead of it being like, I just felt good about them. They were super nice. I liked them. Yeah, I know they're like $10 more expensive, but I liked them. They're nice. Instead, it's like, well, the reason I'm going with them is because we've got a problem with our fertilization, weed control. We've got a problem with our pest control. The bugs, they all start outside and then they come into the house. They can deal with, they're already out in the lawn doing fertilization, weed control. They can also deal with all the bugs before they ever get into our house. The other company I talked to, they're just a pest control company. So they just deal with the bugs once they're in the house. Like, whatever the scenario is, I make this stuff up as I go here. So you get the idea. Like, you got to give the criteria so that they have the talking points. And you got to tell them what the buying criteria is. You got to understand what the problem is so you can give the solution. Then you got to, like, why are you different? Like, why in the world would I use you versus all the other companies? Do you have a better offer? Do you have a guarantee? Do you do risk reversal where I have no risk? I'm not going to feel dumb doing this. Do you already have 12 other properties on my street? Probably pretty good social proof. I'm going to be happy with you. Like, how long do your clients stay with? There's like all these things. These are buying criteria. Do you have millions of dollars in insurance? Most companies don't have insurance. Like, what's the stuff that matters in your market? That's the buying criteria. What can you uniquely deliver that most of your competition can't? You set that up as the buying criteria. You deliver that to her or him so that they have talking points. And if all that fails, and it might, then how do you show up in their mailbox or at their door the next day so that when they're making this decision, the spouse has something to look at? That's another option. Okay, next. You're spending money on marketing, but you have no idea what's actually working. This is incredibly common. So how do you track it? Or how better said, how do you track where your customers are really coming from? Okay, this is called attribution. Attributing a lead, let's say it a different way. Attributing an ad, a form of marketing, to a conversion, to a sale. So I want to attribute that this Google ad that was about pest control, that had an offer for $50 off the first visit, resulted in this person becoming a client. I want to attribute this postcard that was yellow and had $100 off your first 90 days to this person that became a client. That's attribution. I need to match up. This is bringing in all these people, and this is bringing in all these people, and this ain't bringing in anybody. That's attribution. All right? So how do you do this? Because if you have data attribution, then you're like, oh, this works. We'll do more of that. Oh, that doesn't work. Cut that budget. Move all that budget over here. That's what you're trying to figure out. That's the hardest thing. One of the hardest things in marketing is what's actually bringing in all my business, what's working. So some general ideas on how you do this is real basic. Number one, every time somebody calls your company, you ask how they heard about you and you log it in your CRM. Very important. I need to be able to run a report and understand this is where my clients are coming from. Okay, that's really elementary. Then you can take it to another level. You can set up a software solution, something like, I use a product called What Converts. WHAT converts. There's all kinds of solutions here. I don't even know if that's the best one. It's just the one I use and it works. And so What Converts for us records all of our phone calls. It tracks all of our form fills. It tracks all of this data. Okay, so basically you set up this product and then you embed some code in your website and you can put tracking numbers on your website. So here's the idea. Somebody's over on Google and they click on the pest control ad for $50 off service. When they click on it, it takes them to my landing page. What Converts is tracking where they came from, the landing page, the UTM parameters, and other data. Okay, it's tracking all that. It knows that this person that clicked here, that just landed on my website, where they came from. Now when they fill out the form on my website and give me their information, Mary Smith, and all this, I can link that person, Mary Smith, all the way back to that ad. Or they click on this ad, they come to my website, they don't fill out a form, but they call the phone number on the form. We can now track back to that ad. Okay. Now, in that case, when they do a form fill, we'll just use What Converts. I have the Mary Smith information. She gave me the information. Whenever she calls a phone number, I don't know it's Mary Smith, but I have a call recording. And in What Converts, we can type in Mary Smith, and now we've got a name that links back and becomes a customer in our system. Okay? There's more to say about that, but that's the gist of it. So the way we do this at a very high level is we use a product like, I'll give you like 3 steps, but there's a little more to it. First, we use What Converts. Okay, does phone number tracking, records our calls. We also use a product called DialPad that also records all our calls. So I've got actually multiple call recordings, but it's a cost that's worth it. Okay, so What Converts is capturing all the form data. My forms are all going back to, right now, Service Autopilot. In the future, they're all going to EveryChat. Okay, but so the data from my forms go into, at the moment, Service Autopilot. A couple months, it'll be EveryChat. And the data goes into What Converts. So I've got the same data, but it's getting it into my CRM as well as getting into this data tracking solution called What Converts. Okay, that's the form fills. And so you can see, if you go into What Converts, you can see all your form submissions. And then you can see all the phone calls because they're also recorded. You can see where they're coming from Facebook, from Google, from LSA. You get the idea. I can do tracking all over the place. All right. So, but there's still gaps. Okay. So then in my CRM, there's stuff in my CRM that doesn't hit what converts. So somebody texts us. They see our number on the side of our truck. They text us. That never touched our website. It never went through. It never got into what converts. Okay. That got into our software system. Again, Service Autopilot, Future Every Chat. It got into our software system. And so that is not, that person, that lead or that now client is not in what converts. So I have to get my data out of what converts, and I've got to get my data right now out of Service Autopilot. And in a spreadsheet, we merge this data together, and it gives us a full picture of attribution, of conversion, and all these other statistics. Okay. So the reason I tell you that little step, and there's more to say, but I just want to give you the picture of this in case you're not familiar with it. It's unfortunately not as simple as just buying a product like What Converts and problem solved. Because there are ways in which, as I gave the example, they text us, they email us, they call us directly, and they never make it into that system. So I've got to pull data from multiple systems, bring it together, then I get a full picture. You may or may not think about this, but there's different ways to do attribution. I'm just going to keep this really simple and say the method I subscribe to do attribution, just to keep it simple, I tend to subscribe to keep it simple, is a person, I'll just say it, it's first touch attribution. Okay. So in other words, I want to know how they first found us. Did they see our truck? Did a friend refer them? Did they click on a Google ad? Did they come through LSA? Did they get a postcard? That's how they initially found us. So I want to track back to first touch attribution. You can get complicated and say, okay, well, initially they found us via a postcard, but they never called until we sent them the fourth postcard. Or we've been sending them postcards, but then they finally clicked on a Google ad for $50 off the first service. That's when they bought. That Google ad was not the first touch. The first touch was the postcard. I track back to that. You'll hear people talk on the web like, no, you shouldn't do it that way. You should do like what the last attribution method was. I don't care. Pick one and just stick with it. But I just do first touch. All right. So that's how I think about attribution. That's a little bit of a bring you up to speed on that topic. You can do a little more reading. Next, how do I handle a negative Google review, especially one that's unfair or fake? A few quick bullet points on this one. Don't be emotional. As ridiculous as the review might be, you cannot be emotional. You just respond in the most professional way you can, because you think about it this way. The people are going to read the potential customers are going to read negative reviews. That's what they're curious about. And they're going to probably read the response that goes with it. So whatever the really important stuff is that you want to convey, get that to the top of the response. Be very professional. Try to fix it. Like, reviews are imperative to a business. Imperative. Like, one of the mistakes that we made at CityTurf is we didn't fight our reviews from the beginning. Like, we got serious about it somewhat quickly, but we've got a bunch of old fake and crummy reviews out there, or just complete nonsense reviews that, and I think a lot of companies at first didn't do this. We didn't know we could fight them. I wasn't that involved in the business then. It's like, well, we didn't even think about, they were just kind of happening and we weren't paying a lot of attention. Now we can't get rid of them. So they bring down our overall Google review, and there's nothing we'll ever be able to do about it. And so we're close to having a 4.9 review star rating. We'd have a 4.9 now easily if we just hadn't got some of those dumb reviews in the beginning that we didn't fix. Again, not knocking anybody. Nobody was paying attention, okay, or really thinking about it this way. And that might be your situation as well. So now what you've got to do is when you get a bad review, you need to try to fix it. Can you contact them? Can you go see them? What can you do? It's a giant waste of money and time. Well, it's not a waste. It's just a big expenditure of time and money and frustration, and you get held hostage over this stuff. It feels like a scam. You've probably been through all this. But on the whole, this is where you don't be emotional about it. You got to fix it. These reviews are never going away. They're important to how AI will think about referring you. They're important to how much money it costs to acquire clients. There's just so many reasons why these matter in a major way. So you first try to fix them. You respond to them. And if they're fake or they don't apply to your business, which is like hard to win, you flag them with Google. And still, Google may or may not remove them, but you try. And the whole deal is It's a volume game. Get as many great reviews as you can to water down the bad ones that you get. Next, when is the right time to hire a marketing person, and what should that role actually look like? I don't know the exact answer on this one, but I would tell you, you probably don't need a marketing person until you're 3 million. That's a made up number. I didn't have the person till, forever, but I'm also kind of the marketing guy. So I didn't need them. So I would tell you, or actually I needed them. I just should have got them sooner, but I was able to do a lot of this stuff. So until some number, I'm going to make up the number and say 3 million, you should be using agencies. And then after 3 million, you're probably using an agency like an SEO company, a company manager, Google Ads. Even after that number, you're still using probably an agency, and now you're starting to bring somebody in to help you with marketing. I don't know if it's 3 million, 5 million. I don't know. It depends on your talent personally, the talent you have inside your organization. But the way you want to think about this is, what is it that they're going to own? What are they going to do? You need that list documented. And then have you even documented the strategy? This is how we're going to get the clients. Here's who our ideal client is. Here's where they live. Here's how we're going to get to them. There's all these other methods of acquiring people: Google Ads, LSA, postcards, door hangers, door knocking, referrals. Like, it's unlimited. Facebook, social, Instagram. Like, it's unlimited. Okay, well, what's the order of ops? Where do our clients live? Which channels do they most use? What's the best way to get to them? Until that strategy is figured out, there's no point hiring somebody to run marketing for the business. Because if you're hiring somebody that's going to both run strategy and execute and coordinate, they're going to be very expensive, and you're not going to afford them at $3 million. And so somebody, and maybe you work with an agency to figure out the strategy, and then you hire somebody that sort of executes that strategy and coordinates that strategy. They maintain the calendar, they deal with vendors, contractors, they handle reporting, they help you work on the data attribution, they keep up with the content calendar, they help produce content. I don't know. They don't know the answer for you exactly, because you've got to first define what are they going to do and what's our strategy. And then once you know that, you can kind of figure out who you need. But I will tell you, it's not going to be a super high level person till way later inside the business. And there's nothing wrong with using one or more agencies to help you. And there's nothing wrong with consulting with an agency to set strategy. Next, I'm getting a lot of calls to sell my business. What should I do? You're very fortunate. And we are all very fortunate what's happening in most of the trades right now. Companies and owners have opportunities to sell their business that never existed before. It's always been an opportunity to sell your business, but only the biggest and the best businesses. Now, private equity companies are coming down market and buying smaller and smaller companies. So it creates a cool opportunity where business owners have an opportunity, some still have to have a great business, have an opportunity to get out of their business and sell it, and they probably didn't have that before. So here's some things to think about. The reason you're getting contacted is from the outside. Your business looks attractive. They only know so much about your business. They know what your industry is. They know the market you serve. They've probably picked up on some parameters like, oh, they have this many trucks, or I heard they have this many employees, or they've heard something that might give them a guess on how big you might be, but they don't really know. They can buy data online. There's sources they can go to buy data that's better than the free data you find online about your business, so they can kind of get some clues. Also, these companies will talk in the industry. So if you've got a bunch of groups that buy buy in the, we'll call it the plumbing industry, there's a lot of talk happening behind the scenes between private equity and investment banks, and stuff gets around about who the best companies are, who the biggest companies are, things of that sort. Okay, so they theorize that you're attractive. Okay, that you're of interest to them. Now, what I would tell you is there's nothing wrong with taking these calls, but what I would tell you is the way you take the call is with the mindset that I just want to learn. I want to learn what they value in a company like mine. I want to learn what the metrics are that they care about, like what kind of gross revenue, what kind of EBITDA. Think of EBITDA as a version of profits, of net profit. What growth rate do they want to see? What service mix do they want to see? What kinds of Like, learn that. Ask those questions. Like, what are you looking to buy? What's your dream come true ideal company? Like, what do you care about when it comes to speed of growth? Like, how much does a company need to be growing? What do you care about in terms of top line revenue, gross revenue? Like, figure that out. That's your only real goal right now, is just to understand what they care about, because that tells you what to build. So that one day, if you want to sell the company, you've built the thing that everybody wants to buy. Now, they're probably going to say, oh yeah, you could probably get $10 million for this company, or, oh, you've got such a great company. We're so impressed. It's absolutely amazing what you've done. You should be very proud. This is probably worth $12 million. And it'll be based on them asking you a few questions. That does not mean you're going to have any chance of getting $12 million. It doesn't mean you won't, but these guys are good and they're professionals, and I'm not negative on them whatsoever. I'm just simply saying that initially they're going to pull you in with stuff that sounds really good, and then they're going to dig in. And then they're going to be like, oh, well, okay, you got a good business, but you're running all this stuff through your business that you're not really as profitable as you think you are, or your books are kind of a mess, and we can't understand them enough to really know how to value you at this price, so this is what we're going to offer. I didn't realize you do a lot of mowing. We thought you were more fertilization weed control. We really don't value mowing that much. We value fertilization weed control more, or we don't really value the one-time work or the project work that much. I didn't realize that was 40% of your business. I don't know what the scenario will be, but it'll be those kinds of things. And so you've got to, initially I would tell you, don't get sucked into this in the excitement of some number. That number will be available to you in a year, and it will be available to you in 2 years, and it will be a bigger and better number if you take the advice of, this is what I should build. And then you go to work cleaning up your financials, getting your EBITDA up, building a business that they want. In 2 years, the market will still be there. You can go out to market at that time. But their job is going to be to pull you in now and get the best price they can get now. And if you want to sell now, great, do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying understand what the situation is. And then if you sell, if you're a bigger business, I would tell you, and you would intuitively understand this, you need to create competition to get the best price. If you only have one buyer versus 5 buyers competing for you, pretty obvious with the one buyer, you're probably not going to get as good of a deal as if you have 5 bidding the price up. How do you bid the price up? You hire an advisor or a banker or a broker to help you sell the company. And it's really important you choose the right one. All right. Last one. What would you do differently in your first 5 years knowing what you know now? This is largely the message that I give all the time. Fortunately, I got a lot of stuff right in the beginning. I also got a lot of stuff wrong. It was a part-time business for me. Because I had a bunch of other businesses. So I would clearly focus on the business more if I could. Hopefully that's not your issue, because it would have made a world of difference in how fast we moved. But the big things, I would have shrunk my service area. I ultimately did all these things, but I wish I knew them from minute number one. From the beginning, too big a service area. Shrunk it, business got better. Too many services, too complicated. Got rid of a lot of the services, just did a few services, business got better, it grew faster. And the one that took even longer is, and I alluded to this earlier, I wish I had understood my numbers earlier. I wish I had understood how to calculate my COGS, how to make decisions based on COGS, how to base my pricing based on COGS. COGS or gross margin, they go together. You could use either term. So I wish I had understand those things. From the beginning, I was tracking my per man hour rate. That was really, really valuable. Helped me a ton, gave me advantage over a lot of other people that weren't doing anything like that. But there's a bunch of numbers that you need to know. And you're like, I don't love numbers. I never loved accounting and math. I don't like that. I understand, but all the clues are in the numbers. The numbers tell you what to do. I mean, it's just so simple. Like, how did I not make this the most important thing from the beginning in hindsight is, if the number's bad, then here's what you do. If the number's good, here's what you do. It's not that simple, but it's kind of that simple. The number tells you what to do or what to fix or what to focus on. So if you don't have any numbers, you're just guessing. You're just feeling your way through it. You're just reacting to the last bad phone call, to the last complaint in the field, to the last broken truck, to the last whatever. You're just reacting. And back to the very beginning of this, it will take you far longer to get through the stage, because you're reacting versus working a plan. And the plan is built based on what's happening in the business. And what's happening in the business is identified through understanding the numbers. So those are the big things that come to mind. There's so much else. I was into marketing, so I got the marketing thing right. But if you're not into marketing, then I would tell you that you need to figure it out or hire someone to help you, an agency, because if you're just going to grow the business based on good work and quality work and referrals, you're going to get stuck in that stage forever. You got to speed it up. The way you speed it up is you go attract people to your company so you can sell more revenue, so you can grow past that stage faster. The way you grow past the stage faster is you have money to hire people to help you do the work. You have money to do more marketing. You have money to do more sales. That's how you move through the stages faster. It's how you have less pain and frustration and burnout. It's how you get to stay in the game. So many people, going back to the very beginning of this conversation, have so much potential. So much potential. And they're actually in a good business. And they're in a good market. But they go too slow through the stages and they get tired and exhausted, run down, and you can't even think clearly and you just want to be done. And then you fire sell your business, you close your business down, you go get a job, you jump from this industry to a different industry thinking that will be the magic bullet. And you look back in 5 years and you're like, golly, why did I get out of that business? Why did I quit? Why did I give up? Because what I'm doing now is not better. So the key is to figure out how you get through the stages faster and get through it. And if you do that, you'll end up with a business that's really great. That, frankly, changes your life.